You are abreast with what is happening. All right, Nigeria is going to be great. Now I hear quite a number of family members say that, and sometimes when you hear that, you might want to think, oh, when will it ever be great? Is it my time or not my time? Remember when we first got into school, I'm talking university then, you got into 100 level and you look at 4 years or the 6 year course that you are intending on as though it was going to be 15 years into the future, right? And I remember the advice that we always got back then. It was just close your eyes. It's going to be like a twink of an eye, a blink of an eye. Close your eyes, you open it, before you know it, the 4 years, the 6 years, the 7 years, whatever years, inclusive of the striking years, you will graduate. And yes, when we finally got to the final level, we'll be like, ooh, really? So I'm at the final level and all of that. Well, I can tell you one thing for sure, right? We may not be there just yet, but I tell you that we are not at the beginning, right? We are not at the beginning. We may not be there just yet, but we are not at the beginning. We've gone too far. In fact, you want me to announce what level we are? We are at the quarter to make it hour. That's the level we are. The quarter to make it level. I mean, most of the time for a 4 year course, the 300 level is seen as a quarter to make it hour. You're in this. Yeah, that's it. So that's where we are at. Because I mean, when things are going rightly and the federal government is looking into matters that concern us based on their constitutional responsibility, we should also give thumbs up and say, hey, well done. Federal government, good job. Well done. I mean, it is seen as in the place of federal government disbursing 5.12 billion naira pension arrears to 90,689 defined benefit scheme pensioners. I mean, the federal government disburses 5.12 billion naira pension arrears to 90,689 defined benefit scheme pensioners. They call them the DBS now. Well, my name is Uduak Daniel, and we'll be having this conversation for the next 45 minutes, so you best want to keep your ears glued on here. You're driving, whatever you're doing, let's talk politics right now, because this is what defines the choices and the decisions that we make and sets the trajectory for our dear country, Nigeria. So the federal government has disbursed 5.12 billion naira in pension arrears to 90,689 defined benefit scheme pensioners, and this is under the Pension Transitional Arrangement Directorate, that is the PTAD. So this move is reaffirming the Tinubu-led administration's commitment to ensuring the pensioners receive their due entitlement in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda. Now, if you recall that in previous years, the federal government has made efforts to clear outstanding pension liabilities. And it has also ensured that there will be timely payment of pensions to retirees. However, it didn't seem as that would happen anytime soon, as we saw very recently the action taken by pensioners, whether in the military, ex-soldiers, or in the civil service. And we have lamented, and we have talked about it. Now, the PTAD disbursed 5.12 billion naira to 90,689 pensioners across 4 pension departments. Now, let me give you the breakdown. Nigeria Customs Service, Nigeria Immigration Service, and Prisons Pension Departments, they got 8,626 pensioners receive receive 276,032 naira each for 1 month of arrears. Now, for the Police Pension Department, the PPD, 9,681 pensioners received 619,584 naira each for 2 months of arrears. For the Civil Service Pension Department, CSPD, pensioners received 408,736 naira each for 1 month of arrears. And then, of course, for parastatals and parastatals pensions departments, that's the PAPD, right? Pensioners, they received a whopping 3,814,976 naira each for 2 months of arrears. Now, if you feel that this is not progress, well then, I wonder what progress may seem to you. Now, let's get into a personal story of a retiree who's receiving pension arrears, saying that this has brought some level of relief. Imagine being able to pay off outstanding bills and enjoy a sense of financial security even in retirement. Because if you ask me, the most of the corruption that's going on is because people, in the name of securing for their family, are also securing for the future, because to them, and as it is vividly, the systems and structures that suppose to address matters that concern and regard diligent service to the country are seemingly inadequate, inefficient, or lacking merit. They're not substantial to hold fast, such that after 35 years or so of service, there is nothing to write home about. Hence, this is not me holding brief for those who steal money now, I'm just saying. The irony of this is that we, rather than sink such an energy, such a plan into the Nigeria project and say, hey, Nigeria, where will you be in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years? These corrupt mindset people who most of the time hold places of authority where they get to have a one-on-one conversation with our collective financial wealth, where they get to touch our monies. They steal them, they stash them, they put them in different accounts, different money bags, use several names, they embezzle, all for the rainy day. But not the rainy day for Nigeria, and it's destroying us as a people. But just imagine what light this is bringing to the faces of those who had retired. And one question comes to mind. One question. How will this payment actually impact the livelihood of pensioners? And what are the potential challenges in ensuring timely payment of pensions in the future? So it's one thing to say that the renewed hope agenda has taken a giant stride in ameliorate, seemingly starting a process as an answer to say that, oh, we've been able to reach out to the pensioners, but it's another thing to sustain this. Now, the issue of pension arrears has been a recurring challenge. especially Nigeria. In the past, though, governments have made several efforts to address the issue, but it does remain a significant concern for pensioners. And now it takes us to economic factors. It takes us to 5.12 billion naira pension arrears to 90,689 defined benefit scheme pensioners under the Pension Transitional Arrangements Directorate, that is the PTAD. But if we are to look at this conversation, especially moving away, allowing for proper understanding, to ensure proper understanding, it's essential to note that the payment of 5.12 billion naira in pension arrears is a significant development for pensioners, as quite a number of them have shown their heartfelt joys. But the payment also covers arrears for 1 to 2 months, depending on the pension department. So PTAD's role in managing pension schemes and ensuring timely payment of entitlements is very crucial, in that it should allow to maintain trust in the pension system in itself. Maintenance of trust. Comparative analysis, looking at South Africa, it does have a well-established pension system with a focus on sustainability and timely payment of pensions. Ghana has implemented pension reform to improve efficiency and effectiveness of pension administration. I mean, are we talking about the UK now? The UK has a robust pension system with a focus on transparency, accountability, as well as sustainability. But if we were to compare it to Nigeria now, Nigeria's payment of pension arrears, it demonstrates a commitment to improving the welfare of pensioners. However, is there room for improvement? Oh yes, there is. Has it been transparent over the years? Not exactly. But are we are we on the path of growth, sustainability? Oh yes, probably we are. Accountability? Probably we are. Well, let's connect with him already right now. Good morning and welcome to you, Sir Benedict.
Good morning.
Yes. Well, I don't know. For some reason, Nigerians are jubilating, and for some reason, I feel so good regarding what is going on, where the federal government has disbursed 5.12 billion naira pension arrears to 90,689 defined benefit scheme pensioners. And even though we are so happy with this move, some questions are being asked. Sustainability, accountability, very, very importantly, sustainability, transparency, and accountability. I mean, what comes to mind when you saw this conversation, especially being in line with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda?
Well, would I say I'm excited? Not exactly.
Okay.
The purpose why PTAD was set up was to ensure that there are no issues in the transition from work life to pension life. So if at the level of PTAD we are having arrears, it tells you that, in my opinion, that office in itself is a failure. Now, because the purpose was what it was created to avoid is what we are now dealing with. So to an extent, therefore, I think that PTAD, like many other government agencies in Nigeria, have not lived to the mandate of their establishment. If they have lived to the mandate, there should ordinarily not have been an arrears. Basically, because it's an organization that's almost 10 years old, if not more. It means that over time, PTAD should have had its record right. You know, people will retire in 3 months, in 6 months, in 1 year. And so appropriate documentation and exit preparations should have been made. So if we are still dragging with backlog, then it shows that organizationally the structure had not lived to the purpose of this establishment. They have not understood, or they have refused to discharge their duties. Because when you say what is their key performance indicators, the key performance indicators for Peter should be that no retiring person suffered delay in moving from work life to pension life. So if they have months and almost a year of arrears, then obviously they need to rethink whether they should continue to exist or not. Now, but for at least having to make the payment for the 90,000 plus people that are going to benefit, I think it's a relief for them and their family, and that is good in itself. But paying arrears shouldn't be something we are celebrating, because the people who are in service, who have ensured that people who are outside are not getting their pay, very soon they will also retire and they will suffer the same fate. You know, there is always this old story I remember. They said in a particular kingdom, the king is made to reign, you are appointed to lead for 4 years, after which you retire to a particular remote village and you do not participate in the affairs of the kingdom again. So everybody who ruled enjoyed the 4 years or thereabout, and then when the reign comes to an end, they go to live a life of penury in that village. Then a particular king came, and while he was in charge, he ensured that that so-called village was transformed into the best unit of the society. And then he built infrastructure there, transferred all his friends to go and work there. So when he was retiring, he retired into a better environment than the city life of the leader. Now, what are we saying here? He already knew that is where he would retire to, and he prepared for it. So unlike people before him, who usually die immediately after retirement because the conditions are not habitable, he went there and was excited in retirement because he has done the right things. So those who are running pension administration and the transition program in the current government should realize that the system they have failed to put in place, they will also retire into it and they will suffer it. There is no two-way about that. Money, even if you think you are in government now and you are making money, money has wings and money can fly. And so at some point, you may eventually end up needing that pension that you think is small, needing that pension that you think should not be properly managed, living that life, that same life that they are forcing the pensioners to live today. In years to come, if they don't change the system before they leave and ensure that things work, they themselves will come back to that status. And I think that is what everybody who is involved with planning for the future of others should get done, because they will not be insulated when their own time comes.
Right, they will not be insulated when their own time comes. But then Mr. Olubenga Ajayi, who happens to be head of corporate communications, PTAD, he's making a bold statement. I mean, it does seem as though they're wearing this as a thing of joy, as a jersey. We have finalized the disbursement of 5 billion, I beg your pardon, 119,328,000 naira only to 90,689 pensioners across the 4 pension departments. And it does seem as though he says this with so much pride, as though wanting accolade, seeking an applause for what he has done. And it really brings us to the state of where we are, Mr. Benedict. I mean, when we see some of these moves, it questions the place of those in authority. It questions the place of sanctions. It questioned the place of even the head. And when we say the head, we're talking even the number one citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. As quite a number of persons will say that, look, the bulk of it might still have to go the bulk of the blame will go to Mr. President himself. Because even Mr. President has put in word where he says the payment reaffirms the administration's commitment to ensuring pensioners receive their due entitlement in line with renewed hope agenda. Quite a number of people are saying that this entire process is being politicized. What do you think?
Well, we are in the era of politics, so political office holders will have the right, even when they don't have the intention for politics, their statements should be taken for politics. But however, according to the civil servants who are celebrating paying arrears, I don't think that is what celebrating. They should be promising the people. They will say, look, we have made this mistake that created this backlog. Going forward, this is what we are going to be doing to ensure that arrears becomes a thing of history. That is to say that, look, going forward, within 1 month of you leaving the service, we will ensure that your pension transmission is seamlessly done. You do not have to come and keep coming and keep parading our office to submit documents or some documents. If Olubenga Ajayi is talking about that, I will clap for him. But if you are talking about paying an arrears that you needlessly generated without telling us whose fault it was. So when you are saying 90,000 people does not retire in 1 day. They don't even retire in 1 month.
Right.
So we need to know that a backlog, needless backlog, has been created by inefficiency and ineffectiveness of the people impeached. So rather than jumping out to celebrate we are paying arrears, they should be taking a proactive measure and promising the people that going forward, this is the process we have put in place to ensure that we will never have so huge an arrears again. So, but this celebration they are doing tells you that when they are done with this, maybe they will gather in another 6 months or 1 year, they will come back and tell you they are paying another set of arrears. So I think that we should learn to hold people in office accountable. Yes, the buck stops on the president's table, but there are more than 300 agencies in this nation. And so when things are not done, if you ask me, if I were the president, the first question should be, how did the arrears came to be? Who were the people that didn't do their job? Where did the inefficiency and ineffectiveness come from? The performance evaluation people in the president's office should be able to do that and come up with names of people who failed in their responsibility.
But that doesn't seem like something that Nigeria is used to. I mean, we're not used to naming names and bringing out those who have shown such disaster, in their jobs. I mean, because it still takes us back, to the place of the culture. What is the culture that we have on here? The work culture, right? And then it also emphasizes the place of where Nigerians are already being seen as those who should eat crumbs on the floor, but not sit on the table to dine. So given such a picture, when several monies or little monies are being paid as a backlog, there is celebration, there is jubilation, and there are also some political observers who have come to say that this is exactly what goes on even during the electioneering period, and that is the true state of the electorate in Nigeria. We are so used to the crumbs that we don't know what it feels like to sit on the table.
That's why I said in a time like this, for the people who are receiving, some of them have traveled, they have made effort, and they have struggled. So they have reason to be excited that they have been paid at last. But for me and you, and for those who are not directly affected, our question should be, how come that there was such a failure that you have a delay that accumulated for 90,000 people, right? So we need to start questioning the system. And like I would always say, I don't want to join in celebrating any case of fraud or this that has been announced. No, it is that why did the fraud happen? Where is the failure in the system? What do we do to block it? If you say, okay, it's documentation error or this or that, how do we streamline the documentation? How do we correct the data? By now, data should know who is getting out of service over the next 3 years, for instance. So maybe it's quarterly you want to be engaging them to complete the form, even while they are yet in their offices, where all verifications and everything you needed done are done. And then you have the records. Then you can appropriately also budget over the next 3 months. These are the new people that will join the payment scheme. These are the people we will need to pay. These are things we will do. So if they don't have a 90 days, 120 days, 150 days, 180 days plan in place, then I'm afraid we are still going around the same side. So basically what everybody, or what I would expect anyone out there to ask Peter in particular is, what are you doing, or what have you done to ensure that going forward this kind of anathema will not happen again? Because you also know that in the Buhari regime, a lot of pension arrears were paid. Even the so-called service development allowance that Buhari pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed, because he had a lot of people who have left the army who he knew and are affected. But I can tell you that today, so many people are still not able to access the service development allowance for the military. Why? Because the pension office is asking the dependents of those who have died to go and forge documents. Now, when I say forge documents, what do I mean? Somebody is late. He has been buried. He did not die in an hospital. But you are asking the family to go and get you a government hospital death certificate. What you are saying in essence is, go and pay and forge the document and bring it to us. Is it not?
Yeah.
So basically, because of such instances, a lot of people cannot access, or some can then go to a public hospital, pay someone to generate a report that never existed. I think that the National Population Death Certificate, for instance, should have been okay, because some of them died, the military authorities were informed, they were given full military burial, and you are still asking for government hospital death certificate. I think that now some of those who are taking the decision today, they may think they will live forever. We are not praying they die, but anything can happen. And then their own children will also become a victim of the same rules
But Sir Benedict,
that they are put in place.
But Sir Benedict, most of the time, what we have seen over time is that such persons will always find a way to evade whatever law that is in place, and that's why we have seen cases of stashing, embezzlement, stealing, corruption growing in its astronomical value up until date, don't you think? Because they believe they've saved up for the future.
A lot of people have their great job well prepared.
Yes.
But sometimes they don't die anywhere for them to be buried in that prepared place. That's the fact of It is not everybody who has planned his retirement and death that dies that way. So to an extent, we've seen people in this country who can afford private care, right? But between their house and the airport, they lost their life. So they did not make it to get into the air ambulance that can take them to where they should get the treatment. Whereas, if the treatment has been 5-10 minutes away from their home, they would have gotten that service. So for some of them, they may think, oh, they've escaped forever. Who says they cannot be duped? Who says they cannot lose their investment? And their children will end up in that same process. So, but even if they think they will not end up there, they still need to ensure as a nation, and that's why every year we say we are celebrating Armed Forces Remembrance Day. One of the greatest remembrance we will do for the slain heroes and for those who are gone is to ensure that their families, the families they have left behind, have unmitigated access to whatever is available in the honor of their breadwinner that has gone.
All right, let's put it back to your thoughts and just take this call. Hello, good morning.
So good morning.
Good morning, Honorable Edwards.
Yes, I'm calling from Napo.
Yeah.
See, I appreciate our guest once again. It's always active.
Right.
You see, this issue is so painful to a point that if we are talking about fighting insecurity, and the people who have fought before are not being paid their pensions. This pension you are referring to is a small amount of money. This pension you are referring to is the entitlement. It's not an achievement. It's not an achievement. Some governors, when they pay salary, they some even announce it on the radio that they are paying salary. It's not an achievement. It's an entitlement. Okay. Like what happened yesterday in Yerwata. Let me tell you something. I was shocked to see that when this attack was made, the army that were there, they refused to go after the attackers. It was the police, Mopo. I have a classic information about this. It was police that went after attackers. That is why the deaths were too small in that Yerwata yesterday. Maybe that is one of the reasons because they are looking at it as if by the time they retire, nobody will pay them something. They are not going to benefit anything. But what can't we do in such a way that, as you are retiring, automatically, your money will pay on that particular day. Or else, this will result in so many army who are fighting because the passion they have in this country, that is what they are fighting for. So for Nigeria, they are fighting for insurgents. They are fighting, to see that things are order. So whoever that's in charge of that and do that, it's high time for us to make sure that we also support this retired army in order to in order to stop this. The corruption there is becoming too much. If you are a chief of army side, it doesn't mean must you be corrupt by not paying a pensioner. Why are they not asking questions about this so that we know that this is what their hands are clean? Why?
Right, Honorable. Thank you for that, Honorable Edwards, right there, firing. And I see this message right here on Facebook is coming from Mika Philibus. It says, more grace to you and the entire Eagles FM radio. Thank you. Suleiman Danfulani is watching from Magamang. Thank you, far too kind. And you are in Bulchi. We'll take one more call and we'll call it a close. Hello,
good morning, my brother.
Yes, good morning to you, Elder Najer.
My regard to your family.
Right. Elder Najer, 1 minute if you can. 1 minute if you can. Time. It's not on our side now.
Pardon?
1 minute if you can. Time. It's not on our side now.
Yeah, I thank the government. They have do the best. Hello?
Go ahead, Elder.
They have do the best thing. And I thank them by giving that money to pensioners. But the problem there, economy intelligence committee, and then the problem. Maybe this is directive where they give now until December, you know, we'll see any cover there. The federal government is supposed to set task force to implement this immediately before 2 months. If you know the truth, as they have this directive now, the Economic Intelligence Committee will say there's no available money to pay them. So they can take up to December or January, you can't hear anything. The federal government, I'm appealing to them, they can hear me. Put task force to implement this within 2 months or 3 months. If you know, so police now, what they are talking about on police. This is from the president now come to Police Service Commission. Police Service Commission is going to cut everything out again. Maybe you take 3 months or 4 months now, can't hear anything. Let federal government put task force to implement it within 2 months. Thank you very much. God bless Nigeria. Thank you.
Wando, appreciate your thoughts on this. I mean, time will not be our friend right here, but you want to go take a playback, get on Facebook and YouTube. So, Benedict, you've heard what Nigerians are saying already. What will be your 1 or 2 sentence final thoughts as we call it a close this morning?
Well, number one is that them announcing or trying to celebrate of backlog is celebrating their failure or admitting their incompetence. That's for Peter than for Mr. Adinga Ajayi.
Yeah.
Then, of course, for those who are in service, whether the police or the army or the civil service or the people in Peter, they need to know that whether they like it or not, they will retire from that seat. And if they do not put the pension scheme right, when they are out there, they will also still face the same consequence, except they are not going to live in Nigeria. And even if they chose to live elsewhere, they will still need people who are working in Nigeria to render some services for them.
Okay.
And those services will not be properly rendered because the standard has not been set. So we need to think about the future on the seat where we occupy now, so that when we exit, we will not look back with regret.
Thank you.
That is my take.
Appreciate your thoughts on this one. Appreciate your time. You've always spoken comprehensive wisdom. Thank you, Sir Benedict. You are an information professional, and you've always come through, and we appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Right. And yes, to each and every one of us that have also added our voice loudly and clearly in the discourse, thank you, far too kind. I mean, what seemingly seemed as something that we should celebrate has turned out to be an expose. I mean, it's a total failure according to the guest right there. And you're not just paying the real pensions, you're paying a backlog of pensions. And Honorable Edwards has put it rightly that, hey, something that they deserve. It's not like it's an entitlement. It's not something you come out to make so much noise about. In fact, you should be hiding your face in shame and not coming on here and announcing how much you're paying, how much you've released. And PTAD has also been drawn out, called out, and I'm hoping that Mr. President will also look into all of these so that we don't have this very ugly, bizarre trend happening over and over again. My name is Udwak Daniel. Don't worry, 10 o'clock is the time for general open banter. I mean, Comfort Emanson, Kwamwan, where we'll look at the tale of 2 incidents and how these incidents were being treated.